I'm Chef Mudd, and I'm going to do cook some eggs for you today. We're going to start off with a poached egg. In our poaching liquid, we put a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of vinegar, white vinegar. Now, the vinegar is there to get the egg to coagulate a little sooner because we're looking for a nice round shape on that egg. We don't want it to spread, so that's the reason for the vinegar. Now, I'm going to break the egg into a bowl for 2 reasons. One, I want to make sure obviously if the yolk breaks, I can't use it for the poach. And second, I can see if I've got any egg chips in there, so I have a nice bowl. Now, I've got the water right where I want it. It's not boiling. It's just below boil. It's 160 to 180 right in there. You don't really want any bubbling like you would a boiled egg. And when you put the egg in there, we want to drop it down easily and let it slide, and then leave it alone. Okay? Now, while we're talking about eggs and cook them in water, we can talk about boiling eggs. My recipe to boil eggs is I put the eggs in the pot with cold water, just barely cover them. I add about 2 tablespoons of salt, and the salt is there to make the egg peel better, okay? And now I'll bring that up to a boil, and then I turn it down to a simmer. So we say boiled eggs, but really we want to simmer them, because if they boil them, you've ever seen that little purple that gets around the yolk, which doesn't affect the flavor, but it doesn't help the looks of the egg much. So you want to simmer them 15 minutes, turn them off, and then shell them. Or if you're going to store them, you can store them for a week. All right, we're going to let that poach. While that's going, we'll do 2 eggs, or an egg over here. I want to start with my skillet, and I'm using clarified butter. That's had all the water and solids removed from it so that it doesn't stick. Here again, I'm going to crack the egg into a bowl. If I'm working in a restaurant, if that egg cracked, I would save that one back and use it for scrambled. But for egg over, you never send that out to a guest if the yolk is broken. All right? So I want enough fat in here to do the job, but I don't want it, I'm going to flip it, so obviously I don't want to flip it and get it on myself, and I don't want to send somebody out an egg that looks like it's swimming in butter. So I'm going to try to pour that right into where the fat is. Now, when we're frying eggs, it's cooking a little bit fast, so I'm going to bring it back and just let it calm down for a second here. I don't want brown edges. And next, here again, I want to leave it alone. I'm looking for it to solidify. The tendency for a lot of people is to mess with them too much. Just let it solidify, leave it alone. Now, I want to get that yolk right out here in the front, because when I flip, I'm going to go like this. All right. So once I flipped it, if I go approximately a minute, I'm going to have over light. Today, we mostly, with Board of Health regulations, we look more for over medium. We like that white to be done and the yolk warm but still running. So we're just about there. So over light would be right now. You can see that white is still a little soft. I'm going to let that cook. I just don't want those edges to brown. All right, 1 over medium. Now, a way that I've taught when I teach eggs, the flipping part is all in the wrist. So I always taught people to start them off with a piece of bread. It's a lot messier if it doesn't flip just right. If you can flip that, you're going to get good at flipping the eggs. Okay? So that's a good way to start out trying it out. All right, our poached egg. Right now, I'm just going to make sure it's not stuck to the bottom. If that water is just right, usually you're looking at 4 to 5 minutes on poached egg. Here again, poached egg, you want a nice round shape. You want the white done, but you want the yolk still to flow out when you cut into it. Okay, we're going to do omelet 2 styles. First is the frittata style. Frittata is actually an open face omelet where you cook the ingredients in the egg. This we're going to cook the ingredients in the egg, but we are going to fold it, so that's frittata style. That style, I'm going to make a Denver omelet, or you might call it a Western omelet if you add cheese. So I've got peppers, which I've already had sauteed these, so they're not going to, all they have to do is really get warm at this stage. Peppers, onion, and ham. So you're going to use a little more butter here than you would with eggs over. And you just really want to get these to cook a little bit and get those flavors to marry. So I'm doing a 3-egg omelet. I've got the eggs already cracked here. Everything's hot, ready to go. Add my egg. Got a heat-proof spatula. And as you see the egg coming up on the edge, you pull it into the middle and let the raw egg flow out. In, which really speeds things up. So just keep letting the raw egg come in. Until we've got it pretty well solid. Got to have enough solidity there where so I can flip it. But I don't really want it to get real brown. Flip it. I'm going to flatten that out. It's a little bit, I've got a little bit of raw there in the center, so I'll just make a couple little cuts there, let the heat get through. Now, one thing I wanted to make sure we brought up is putting cheese in an omelet. You never put the cheese in the omelet when you're putting the ingredients in, because that's what will make it stick. And cooking breakfast, cooking eggs, that is your worst enemy, is food sticking. So I'll put the cheese in now. And I'm going to fold the omelet onto the pan. And there we have a Denver omelet frittata style. All right, next we're going to do one French style. The French style is similar, except the ingredients are put inside the omelet and then garnished with a little on the outside. So you'll see the difference. All right, so this is going to be a 3-egg omelet also. Pretty much the same method. As you see it coming up the top, you're going to pull back. It's almost like scrambling, but not quite as, don't get it quite as vigorous with it as you would if you were scrambling. So here again, I'm looking for that solid. Just keep bringing my raw in. I think it might be a tad dry. I'm going to add just a little butter. Flip. Now I've got my ingredients already sauteed here. Put those in the center. Flip your omelet. Center it up on the plate. I'm going to make a little quick cut right here. And I'm going to put a little more of the filling on top as a garnish. French style omelet. So you can see the difference. No browning, a little softer, and of course the filling is not cooked in with the eggs. Okay, now the poached eggs. Should be getting pretty close. We want that to be similar to the eggs over medium in that you want the white done. So you want a nice firm round white that's cooked, and you want the yolk to still run. And you can see that's what we have there. Now, commercially, if I were doing this, if I wanted to do this ahead of time, say for instance I was doing eggs Benedict, I could take them to this stage, drop it in cold water, maybe a little ice in there, cool them off, shock them, and then I could get quite a few of them. I can maybe make 2 dozen of them up ahead, or this isn't something you could do a la minute or at the last minute in a kitchen. So there we have our poached egg. You see we have a nice round where that vinegar helped to coagulate that egg white. Nice and round, it's firm. The yolk is still soft. And then we have our omelet frittata style, Western omelet frittata style, and then the Western omelet French style. The difference being that one has the ingredients cooked in it, the other doesn't. And then we have egg over medium.